Greetings everyone, and welcome to Samir Flyer. I am Dane Samir. This is part 2 of my very short flight between Victoria International Airport and Boundary Bay. Part 1 was to look at flying VFR using the VATSIM network. And the reason for that was to do a part 2 so that we could compare the same exact flight using the Say Intentions.AI system. Now the only difference between these two flights is that when I flew the VATSIM flight earlier today, maybe 3 hours ago it was, maybe 3 or 4 hours ago, the weather condition was not like we see it here. It was heavy clouds. We were using runways 9 to depart out of Victoria. Basically, looking at the weather right now, it looks like we're probably going to be using runway 27. But that doesn't really matter. The purpose of the flight really is to just see the difference between the two systems. VATSIM and Say Intentions. Very simple flight. So again, I will show you on Navigraph where we are. Let me just blow this up and what we're doing. So we are at Victoria International. We're going to probably fly out of runway 27, I would imagine, but we'll find out shortly. But whatever we do, we want to fly to the Victoria VOR, which is YYJ, and then from there we're going to proceed on a 16-degree heading up to the Vancouver VOR, which is YVR. From YVR, we're going to go into Boundary Bay. Now, the last time we went in, we landed on runway 7 going in. But I have a feeling, because of the weather conditions, we will probably have to land on runway 25. But whatever it is, it really doesn't matter. The purpose of the flight is to see how Say Intentions handles the flight. So, let's get the aircraft up and running. Let me get Say Intentions up and running and see what trouble we can get into. Now, at the end of this flight, I will kind of give you my opinions on what I think I personally like or dislike about VATSIM or Say Intentions. Approximately 4 months ago, I also did a video comparing VATSIM to another air traffic control system called Beyond ATC. So if you go back into my videos about 4 months ago and look that up, VATSIM versus Beyond ATC, you'll see what my thoughts were back there. But anyway, at the end of this video, we'll talk about pros and cons. So let's get some things started. Let me get Say Intentions up and running, and I'll bring it over onto the screen so you can see what it looks like. Okay, it knows that we are at Victoria International Airport, and right here I'm going to I wish this could be made a little smaller. So there's my first my first con is I'd like this to be made a little bit smaller to be adjusted, but maybe it requires this size to fit all of this in. Anyway, that's okay. We won't worry too much about that. Let me just minimize this for a minute so I can get the radios up and running. Let's put in flight plan. Yeah, I know we don't have an arrival airport, but we're going to do that right now. CZBB. Alright, and we'll just put in the VORs that we want to fly to. First one is the Victoria VOR, which is YYJ. And the next one is the Vancouver VOR, which is YVR. And so there we are. We have them all in place. Alright, so that looks good. So we've got our radio set. I've already checked the aircraft out. Everything is in top shape. We're flying the same aircraft as we did just a few hours ago, which is the Comanche EA-24. Look, I didn't even bring my flaps in from the last flight. That is a no-no. That's not a good thing. Flaps should have been retracted after I departed the active runway. So let's just bring those flaps back in. Alright. Let's get Say Intentions up. Let's check the ATIS. ATIS is 1188. We can double click on this.
On 126.4, advise on initial contact you have information Lima.
Information Lima.
Victoria International Airport.
So it's audio plus
Lima.
written.
0300 Zulu. Wind calm. Visibility 10. Sky conditions, view at 6800 feet. Broken at 13,000 feet. Broken at 22,000 feet.
Big difference than
Temperature
4 hours ago.
Dew point 13. Altimeter 3006. Arriving and departing runways 9er, 3, 32.
Yeah, I thought it was 9.
Visual approaches in use. Advise on course heading, altitude, and if flight following is requested. Read back all runway and hold short instructions. VFR departures contact clearance delivery on 126.4. Advise on initial contact.
So clearance delivery 126.4.
Victoria International Airport.
This isn't of any importance, it's just a little fun thing that they've thrown in here. Okay, so we are now going to contact clearance delivery, and we'll advise them that what we're doing and where we're going. Oh, before we do that, let's put in our VOR frequencies. The first one is 1137. So let's just put that in first. Oh, actually we have it there already. And 1159. See, this is from the last flight 4 hours ago, so all that is there. So that's good. Alright, let's now call clearance delivery. It has automatically put in the frequency of 126.4. Victoria clearance, Comanche, November 624 Delta Whiskey, at the Victoria Flying Club. Request VFR eastbound for Boundary Bay.
Delta Whiskey, clear VFR eastbound to Boundary Bay. Maintain VFR at or below 1500 feet. Departure on 125.905, squawk 5742.
Cleared VFR eastbound to Boundary Bay. Maintain VFR at or below 1,500 feet. Departure on 125.95, squawk 5742. November 624 Delta Whiskey.
Delta Whiskey, read back correct. Ground is on 121.9, safe flight, sir.
121.9, thank you for your service. Alright, let's flip over to 121.9. Double click on that. And it has put it in the comp frequency. Just gonna put that up there. Victoria Ground, Comanche, November 624 Delta Whiskey at the Flying Club, ready to taxi to the active.
November 624 Delta Whiskey, Victoria International Airport Ground. Taxi to runway 9er at your discretion. Contact tower on 119.1 when ready for departure.
Taxi to runway 9 at my discretion. Contact tower 119.1 when ready for departure. November 624 Delta Whiskey. Okay, so right there, I just find that a little bit unusual that they would not give me my taxi route out to runway 9. Because here I am parked here at the Victoria Flying Club, so I'm going to take Sierra, which is this S taxiway, to Echo. I have to cross 21, I have to cross 14, and they're not telling me to hold short or clear to cross. So they've totally left it at my discretion, which I find not quite right. There should be better control for that on a busy international airport. Anyway, let's head out to runway 9. Let's go up here on Sierra taxiway up to Echo. Quite a big hill right here. So really, I mean, they've left it totally at my discretion. So in fact, I could have taken off right from this point right here. They've left it completely up to me. That's a little bit strange. So we've just crossed runway 21. We're heading, I know we're taxiing a little fast. We're heading to runway 14, which we are just crossing now. and we're going up to the Gulf intersection for our takeoff on runway 9, which is the same intersection we used on part 1 flight with the VATSIM controller. And if you go back and listen to that again, you'll see how that was handled. So here I am at the hold short. I'm going to hold short right here, and then I'm going to give them a call. The other thing that actually I didn't put in the squawk code. I purposely didn't put it in because I wanted to see. Oh, 5742. Now, why is that the same squawk code? Okay. Oh, it must have put it in automatically. Well, let's do altitude reporting. Alright, let me just zoom in here a little bit closer. Okay. Alright, so let's now switch over to tower on 1191. So there it is, it's put it in the standby down here, so I'm just going to switch over. Victoria Tower, November 624 Delta Whiskey is at the hold short intersection Gulf, runway 9, ready to take off.
November 624 Delta Whiskey, Victoria International Airport Tower, runway 09er, wind 345 at 8, cleared for takeoff.
Cleared for takeoff on runway 09. Requesting a left turnout on takeoff, if that's possible. Let's see what they say.
Delta Whiskey, runway 09er, wind 345 at 9er, cleared for takeoff. After takeoff, turn left once you reach the numbers and proceed on course.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 9, turn left once reaching the numbers and proceed on course. 624 Delta Whiskey. Okay, so they did understand my request. See, the other thing I find strange is that the winds are quite different. Let me just get my map ready here before we take off. Winds are quite different than it's showing quite differently. It's showing opposite to what the ATIS indicated, so I'm not quite sure if that's right. Anyway, here we are. We will deal with it. Okay, 1 notch of flaps. Adjust my seat. Yeah, see, we are taking off in the wrong direction. But that's the runway they gave us. Okay, rotate. So definitely that's an error. So once we reach the numbers, right here, once we pass the numbers, we can make a left turn and go on course. we are past the numbers. Gears coming up. Flaps are coming up. Let's close our little window. And let's head on course to the VOR, the Victoria VOR. And that should be the VOR. VOR is just up here. Now, he did tell us...
4 Delta Whiskey, contact departure on 125.905.
Departure on 125.95 for 4 Delta Whiskey. Alright, 125.95. It's in there. Stand by. Let's... Victoria departure, November 624 Delta Whiskey, 2,000 feet.
November 624 Delta, Whiskey Victoria departure, radar contact.
So the interesting thing is, I was told 1,500 feet. Let's just minimize this. We're coming up to that. Alright, I'm going to head out on the outbound leg of the course. I'm going to ask them for 3,500. Victoria departure, November 624 Delta Whiskey, requesting 3,500.
Delta Whiskey, climb altitude 3500 feet.
3500 feet, 4 Delta Whiskey. We just want this CDI to get centered, and then we'll head out on the 016 radio. Oh, 3,500. I've broken it. I'm up to 4,000. Let's bring that back down. Okay, the CDI is coming in. Let's turn on course. And at this point, I think I'll just put the autopilot on so that we can fool around with the radios a little bit. Turn the autopilot up. It was on from the previous flight. I hadn't turned it off either. Okay, we want 3,500. We've got clouds right above us, so we've got to be careful of that. Alright, let's pick up the VOR radio, and when we get to 3,500 we'll click the altitude Engage.
4 Delta Whiskey. Altitude restrictions canceled. Maintain VFR altitudes.
Altitude restriction canceled. Maintain VFR altitudes. 4 Delta Whiskey. I'm going to stay at 3,500.
Delta Whiskey, contact Vancouver approach on 134.225.
One 134.225. 4 Delta Whiskey. Vancouver approach, November 624 Delta Whiskey.
November 624 Delta. Whiskey, Vancouver approach. Good afternoon, Long Harbor, QNH 30.06.
30.06, 4 Delta Whiskey. Alright, let's quickly show you where we are. So there we are. We are just past the island. The active pass NDB is right there. And we've got, according to the DME, we've got 12.3 nautical miles to go to the Vancouver VOR, which is YVR, Yankee Victor Romeo. And then from there we'll head eastbound into Boundary Bay. And we'll just see what we can.
Delta Whiskey, contact Boundary Bay Tower on 118.1.
118.1, 4 Delta Whiskey. I wonder if I could get a... I'd like to get the ATIS for... Boundary Bay Tower, November 624 Delta Whiskey, is approximately 12 miles southwest of your field. Going to the Vancouver VOR, request a direct approach to runway 07 if that's possible. That's a long request I just made. Let's see what happens.
4 Delta Whiskey. Proceed direct to Boundary Bay for a visual approach to runway 07. Report when established on the approach. 4 Delta Whiskey. Enter left base for runway 31.
4 Delta Whiskey is requesting runway 07. Winds 345 at 8, cleared for the runway 07 approach, 4 Delta Whiskey. Okay, let's switch our VOR over to the Vancouver VOR. And let's lower our altitude. Let's take the altitude hold off. So we're going to have a left crosswind, which is fine. We can handle the left crosswind. I'm going to take the autopilot off. Yeah, we've got pretty heavy overcast here. Boundary 8 Tower, 624 Delta Whiskey is requesting runway 31. Yeah, I think I better go to 31.
4 Delta Whiskey, winds 345 at 10, runway 31, cleared for the approach. 4 Delta Whiskey, winds 345 at 7, runway 31, cleared to land.
Wind 345 at 7, runway 31, cleared to land. So there's runway 7 there, so we need to do a left downwind. Runway 31 is this way. So we've got to go out over the water and come in. Okay, gears going down. So, change our heading bug to runway to heading 310. Let's join the downwind. We're at 2,000 feet. We're not quite down to pattern altitude yet, but we're getting there pretty quickly. Not quite into the downwind yet, and we're at 1,500 feet. We're good. Alright, we're going to turn downwind now at 1,200 feet. Alright, we are now downwind. Runway 31, which is right here. One notch of flaps in. We've got the gears down with a green. Comanche doesn't have 3 greens, but it has a green. Just go out over the water. We have been given clearance to land, so all is good. Okay, I'm going to turn left base now for runway 31. Yeah, it's a pretty nasty cloud up above us. Okay, we're on a left base for runway 31. There's the runway right, the runway threshold is right there. reduce our speed a little bit. And we kind of gained a little altitude, so that's not so good, but that's okay. We'll bleed it off. All right, let's turn final. We've got full flaps right now. I think we overshot the center line. And because we're so high, we probably won't make that first turn off. Way too high. About 150 feet too high. And way too fast. That's okay. We'll take the last. We'll go down the runway. This is a turn off right there that I wanted. But that's okay. We'll take the end of the runway. It's better anyway. It gets us right to the apron. Yeah, that was much too fast. That approach was much too fast. The old Comanche won't be happy with me doing that. But look at this, we ended up right at the exit.
4 Delta Whiskey, welcome to Boundary Bay. Contact ground on 124.3.
124.3, 4 Delta Whiskey, thank you for your service. Boundary Bay ground, November 624 Delta Whiskey, request taxi to apron 1.
Delta Whiskey, taxi to apron 1 at your discretion. Have a good day.
Taxi to apron 1, my discretion. I will have a good day, and you do as well. 4 Delta Whiskey. Alright, let's just stop here for a minute, clean the airplane up. Let's retract the flaps. Turn off the landing lights, make sure the taxi lights are on. We can turn the strobe lights off. Okay. Let's move to a parking spot. And then we'll go over the pros and cons. So let's just pull in right to this first spot right here. Looks like we got a 172 right there. Maybe we could just park beside it, or on the other side of it maybe. No, we'll park right beside it right here. Yeah, there's room for us to park here. Parking brakes are on. Okay, let's shut things down and then we can talk about likes and dislikes. Okay, mixture leaning. Starve the engine of fuel. Propeller back. Throttle back. Okay, at this point we can turn off the nav lights, taxi lights, and the beacon lights. We can turn off the magnetos. And we can kill the avionics. Turn off the fuel pump. And alternators coming off and master switches off. Let's just open up this little window so we don't fog up. Okay, so first of all, I want to, I didn't switch this back to the monitor. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I forgot to switch the view back to the monitor that has the cockpit. So first I want to thank you for flying with me with SimAir Flyer. I'm Dane SimAir. And let me just bring up some things that I wanted to just talk about. First of all, let's talk about pricing. So the Beyond ATC, which I did a video on about 4 months ago, is a one-time price of $30. All these prices are in US dollars, by the way. So it's a one-time price of $30. So right now, Beyond ATC only does IFR. They have not got their VFR module in place yet, but it's definitely worth checking it out for IFR flying and to see how they handle the pilot. And we're just kind of waiting for the VFR to see how that's going to go. With the IFR, you have to use SimBrief in order to create a flight plan, because Beyond ATC relies on SimBrief for the flight plan. Now, the pricing for Say Intentions, if you purchase the annual price, it works out to $16.25 per month. If you purchase a month-to-month price, it's $19.95 per month. So there's a big difference in the pricing. But the voice and the AI features are actually quite good compared to Beyond ATC. But Beyond ATC might improve, and when they get the VFR module in, for those that can't afford $16.25 a month or $19.95 a month, then a one-time price of $30 is probably a better deal for you. Now, Say Intentions does not need a flight plan for VFR flights, so that's one good thing. You just get in your airplane, you tell them where you want to fly, and you fly. For IFR flights, Say Intentions, just like Beyond ATC, does require SimBrief as a flight plan. So they need SimBrief for IFR flights. So that's the pricing. Now, as far as the pros and cons, I kind of already talked about the cons for Beyond ATC is that they do not have a VFR module. The cons for Say Intentions, I find, there's not very many at all. The only thing I found a little strange was I did not get a taxi directions when I left, when I was leaving Victoria International. They just told me to taxi out at my discretion, which is unrealistic, especially at an international airport. That just never happens. So there's something wrong there. But I must tell you that Say Intentions is constantly doing updates every single day. So that's probably a bug that I will report and see if it gets caught. What I like about Say Intentions is the VFR module. It's just get in the airplane and fly. I like the two-way communication back and forth between the pilot and the controller. You know, there's an active conversation going on. Now, VATSIM, of course, is the comparison that we're really doing here. We're comparing VATSIM to Say Intentions. VATSIM is completely free. It is a wonderful, wonderful air traffic control system. The con about VATSIM is they do not always have controllers on in different parts of the country. So let me just bring up this air traffic control map. Now, earlier today, we flew from Victoria, which is down here, to up to here, and there were controllers on earlier today, about 4 hours ago. So right now, if you look at all of North America, VATSIM has controllers in the southwest and the Pacific Northwest. They do not have any controllers on anywhere else. So that's the problem with VATSIM. You do not always get the opportunity to fly with a controller. If you look at all of North America, there are no controllers on whatsoever, other than the western side of North America. If we go over to Europe, I'm not seeing any controllers on over there either. So I'm not quite sure why that is. So that's the big con. The big pro, oh, here's a controller that just looks like they just came on. Yep. Tulsa approach. Okay, so this controller came on 25 minutes ago. But other than that area, there's no other controllers. The pro, of course, is that it's completely free, and you are actually talking to a live rail person. So that being said, we leave it up to you to make your decisions on what you think. Again, thank you for flying Simair Flyer. I'm Dane Simair. Keep the wings up and keep the wheels down.